Today is Sunday, July 31st, 2022, and today I'm just going to do another nav bar. I'll start with telling my browser that I'm writing in HTML5. That's the first line, and then I'll put in my HTML tags, and then my head tags, and then my body tags. And so in the head, I only use those head tags when I want to use fonts, and also so that I can ensure that my viewport is responsive to the width of any device that my site is on. So that's basically what this line of code kind of specifies. So I'm just saying about the viewport, right? So the view, right, of your screen, the content of the viewports, the width, right, the content's width has to be equal to the width of the device that whoever's using my site has, right? So the width, so I don't know, like the width of a phone. So then the width of my content of the viewport should be equal to the width of the person's phone. All right, and then initial scale 1. So that's just kind of the scale of things. And then for the body, again, I'll start with my container, and then I'll go to my CSS and target it using a dot because you target classes using dots. And then I'll give it a property border, and the value is 5 pixels, black and solid, and then I'll give it a height 100 VH, vertical height of the screen, so that it actually has a substance to it. And then I'll use an asterisk or a star tag and basically kind of get rid of any default margin and padding that there is, because lots of browsers come with, their own margin and padding. So this star tag means everything, so it's applying that to everything on my HTML. Alright, so in here I'm going to make a div, label it with the class navbar. This is going to be my navigation bar. And then I'll just target it over here in my CSS with the dot because it's a class, and I'll give it a background. I don't know, I think I have some colors here, so I'll give it a background of this. Actually, I don't even know if I want to do that. I don't want it to have a background yet. Maybe I'll just give it a border instead. 5 pixels, black, solid, so I could see it, right? And then I'm going to give it a temporary height of 50 pixels, right? So that's that, and I want it to be in the center of my screen. And so the nav bar is within the container, and so the container is what I'm going to give it a display of flex. And when I give the container display of flex, everything inside the container becomes a flex item. So the nav bar is a flex item, and any properties that I put in the container, like justify, content, center, is going to apply to the flex item, and it's going to center that flex item horizontally, and then align items property, set that as center, is going to center it vertically. All right, and then now what I can do is I can give this baby a height of, not a height, but for me it would be a width of 80%. All right, so that's that. And then inside the nav bar, I'll go to my HTML and add, right, my navigation links. And so I do that by using an unordered list. That means a list without numbers. If you want a list with numbers, you do an OL, an ordered list. All right, so in each unordered list, there's a list item, right? And for me, I want each list item to be, or to have a link inside. That leads to nowhere, so that's what the hashtag means. And then I'll just call this link and end that there. And then I'll just copy this a few more times. Try to make it pleasing to the eye. All right, and then a few more times. Okay, and then now to kind of to make it pretty, I'm going to, let me think. Okay, so I'll start with targeting the list items and removing the bullet points. So I'll do list style none because the bullet points is actually a property of the list items. which is list style. All right, so that removes the bullet points, and then I can also have a display inline, and that's going to put everything in the same line. And then I can have a padding of, I don't know, 20 pixels. But I think that I can do something better. So if I target the navigation bar and then the UL, and I give the UL display a flex, everything in it's going to become a flex item. And so I can just say, if I get rid of this, it'll be the same thing, right? Because by default, the flex direction is set to row when there's a display of flex. And not only that, but the advantage of this is that I can do flex wrap and set that to wrap, and when I make my screen shorter, the links will wrap around each other, as you can see there. Whereas if I had done display inline, I would have had to do this anyway to have flex wrap. So I might as well just, I might as well just have simpler code and not have to do display inline here. All right, and then I can, the padding equivalent would be the gap here, and I could just do 2em, which is equivalent to 16 times 2, which is 32. Yes, 32 pixels. Okay. All right, and then the text itself is an A tag property, so navbar ULLIA. To remove the underline, that's a text decoration property or value, and I can just set that to none because currently it's set to underline. So that removes the underline. I could also do text, not the text. I could just do color, change that to something like black instead of it being blue. I can also change the font size to, let's say 6V minimum. So it's like really large so that I can see it on the screen. If I could open it in debug mode real quick. All right, and then I also want the links centered within the navigation bar. And so I'll go to the nav bar and give the nav bar also a display of flex. And, whoops, not flex, okay. Justify content center is what we really need, that centers it horizontally. I could also do align item center, right? That's going to center it vertically, but that's going to be like a slight change. Okay, so that's that. All right, so that's what it's looking like so far. Let me think. All right, and then for the A itself, I would like it to have a background of this color over here. So hashtag and then, hashtag and then paste that color in there, DEB841. And then I'll give it a border radius of 20 pixels so that the border becomes round, and I'll give it a padding of 10 pixels top and bottom, 20 pixels left and right. All right, and then now it's looking like that. Although it's a little weird because it's getting out of the container, and that's the nav bar. And so I believe if I can just set the height to be min content, let's see if that's gonna work. And then it works a little bit, and then I can just give it a padding of 20 pixels and I'll always be within the navigation bar now. All right, perfect. Even though I'm not gonna see it, but it's nice to, have that be responsive even if you don't see it, because I'm deleting the border later on. Okay, and then real quick, let me go to the body tag and target that. So that's basically the whole, everything it's kind of equivalent to everything. The everything selector, not everything. Doesn't even make sense now what I'm saying. This is what I mean, the everything. It's kind of equivalent, the body and the everything, at least for the thing that I'm doing now. So that changes the background to that color. All right, so now it's looking like this. And then let me just have a little fun with this. So navbar ULLIA, have that in a hover state. So basically saying when the navigation bar's A tag is hovered over, or it's in a hovered over state, change the background to be, let's say, this color. I think that's relevant. It's kind of a darker color. So now if I save that and I reload and I hover over it, I can clearly see that it's changing color. Now let me go back to my HTML and kind of change what it says so it looks prettier. So maybe home, about, the last one is always contact, at least for me, and then maybe services. All right, so now it's really pretty, and then I can just go ahead and delete the navigation bar border. over here, save that, and this is what I'm left with. I could also do one more thing. I could just give it a position relative to itself, and from the top move it -2 pixels so that when I hover over it, it moves 2 pixels to the top, like slightly, so you can see that happening. But yeah, and I kind of don't like, let me use a shader and get like a slightly different color, because I'm not liking that color change. Neither do I like that one. I think I'll use this one. I don't like it so that it has, I can't even speak. I don't like it when it's like a very obvious color change. I think that's better. I changed it, right? Okay, yeah. All right, it's a little bit better now. All right, and then last thing, let's go to Google Fonts, and I use Lato, right, for my links, and so I already have it here. I just searched it up and I clicked regular 400 and added that to my selected family, and then I just click on this link, right, and I go back, and in my HTML inside my head tag, I just paste that in there so that when I use, right, this property font family in my CSS, my HTML, or at least my CSS, is going to know where it's coming from. If I could just get there. And I could just, honestly, I could just paste that in there and it would work fine. Or I can be, you know, specific and correct and paste it specifically in here because that's what I want my font to, oops, not there, here in the A tag. And that's what I want my font, where I want my font to change. All right, so now it's looking like that and it's pretty. All right, that's pretty much it for today. Oh, I forgot to get rid of the border of the container. All right, now that's it. All right, bye.